Let's talk about the new 2023 releases from both Rolex and Tudor. This year was actually quite exciting. It's the most exciting year I can remember in recent history. So let's begin with Tudor. Here, a few model lines got updated, including Black Bay 41. The update features a new MATA certified movement with 70 hours of power reserve, this pretty cool looking Jubilee bracelet. I think this is the first time we see a Jubilee bracelet on a Tudor Black Bay line of watches, diver line of watches, and I really like it. I'm a big fan of Jubilee bracelets, and we're going to talk a lot more about Jubilee bracelets later in this video. It also features a new color variation, this burgundy bezel with a black dial. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of burgundy or red bezels, but I know that a lot of guys are, and a lot of people are excited about this update. Lastly, there is still no word about the thickness of this model. As we all know, the thickness of Tudor Black Bay 41mm is its biggest negative. So hopefully this new upgraded model is a bit on the thinner side. Moving on, the next model line that got an upgrade are Black Bay models. There is a range of various dial colors, which all look pretty sharp. They also feature now a Jubilee bracelet. Again, this is a year of Jubilee for both Tudor and the Rolex. And I'm pretty sure these watches have an upgraded movement. The range goes from 31mm all the way to 41. So you got the 31, 36, 39 and 41mm. With so many different options, it's easy to find a model that fits your wrist perfectly. Speaking of fitting your wrist perfectly, if you have a bit of a smaller wrist, you might be really happy to hear that Tudor just introduced a brand new line of watches, Tudor Black Bay 54. It's essentially a Tudor Black Bay 58 with a smaller case diameter, 37mm instead of 39. Might not sound like a big difference, only 2mm, but believe me, on the wrist, it does make a huge difference. I think this is sort of targeting people with smaller wrists, people that have preference for smaller watches, and of course, women. Buying his and hers watch is very popular nowadays, so I think Tudor is smartly cashing in on this trend. It is also a bit of a throwback to the old Tudor sub. As we all know, that Tudor sub was in 36mm. There haven't been many divers made in this smaller diameter, 36, 37mm, so I'm glad that Tudor is sort of filling the hole in the market. Lastly, let's talk about the Tudor Black Bay GMT. A lot of people were expecting Coke. I mean, ever since the Pepsi came out, year after year, we're speculating, we're making our predictions, and everyone is thinking, okay, this is the year that we're gonna get Tudor Black Bay Coke. You know, the black and the blue bezel variation. This year, we still got the Pepsi, but with the polar white dial. I don't think anyone saw this coming, and honestly, I kind of like it. I think this watch looks really sharp. I like that white polar dial. I think it works well with the Pepsi color scheme, and overall, it's a solid addition to the Black Bay GMT lineup of watches. There's also a slight addition to the Tudor Royal line of watches. I'm not going to spend too much time on this update because it's just a simple color change, a few different dial variations. That's pretty much it. Now, let's move on to Rolex, and here, surprisingly, there's quite a few updates to talk about. First of all, let's talk about Daytona. I made my predictions video and I was talking about all these different things that Rolex could do to the Daytona line of watches because, as we know, it hasn't been updated since 2016 and it's turning 60 this year. So what did they do? Well, not that much. First of all, the case is slightly updated, although, to be honest, I can't really tell the difference. Maybe if I had the two watches in hand or if I had some side-by-side pictures and somebody pointed out the differences, then I'd be able to tell. Needless to say, it's just a very minor case tweak. But it's not all minor tweaks. Some tweaks are a little bit bigger than that. It has a newer upgraded movement, which is nice to see. Also, there is a yellow gold version on an Oyster Flex bracelet. Yes, I call it a bracelet. It's not a rubber strap because inside of the rubber, there is a bracelet-like structure, a metal structure to hold this watch together on your wrist. So it is technically a bracelet and not just a rubber strap. We also got a platinum Daytona with a display case back. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of the first, if not the first, sports model with a display caseback. I can't remember last time Rolex did a display caseback on one of their watches, which makes this one pretty special. No one really called it. I don't think I've ever seen this prediction for them to do a Daytona with a display caseback. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a change to this model line. It's just few small tweaks and, you know, a couple of special things, especially with that platinum Daytona. Moving on, the Sky Dweller also got a small update. So there is a small update to its movement. Again, just kind of pushing that engineering forward. And it also got 2 new versions of a dial. They're just basically different shades of green, but both shades do look quite different from each other and they do look very attractive. I'm actually really happy about this change because Rolex Sky Dweller is a very nice, attractive watch. It's a bit on the thicker side, not really for me, but I like that it's a very complicated watch and it's something that Rolex is very proud of in terms of engineering. And seeing a couple of dial colors is a nice update. Now let's talk about another really cool update. I think this update is going to be to the liking of a lot of watch collectors. The new GMT models, GMT Master II. So we got the full gold version on a Jubilee bracelet, yellow gold I should add, and a two-tone stainless steel or oyster steel as Rolex calls it, and yellow gold version also on a Jubilee bracelet with a black bezel. I think both of these watches just look so damn good. I am a big fan of two-tone watches. For the longest time, I didn't like two-tone watches, but now I've been converted. I'm a believer. And this one here just looks so damn good. Back in the day, Rolex did have a GMT Master on a Jubilee bracelet that was done in two-tone. Those watches look really sick and it's nice to have a new updated version of that watch for 2023. I think these watches are going to be very, very popular with watch collectors. Another watch that is going to be super popular with watch collectors is a titanium 42mm YachtMaster. Yes, you heard that right. There is a new titanium 42mm YachtMaster. We've been speculating about this watch, I think 2 years ago, because there were some leaked photos of divers testing this exact watch underwater. So now we have the actual watch. It only comes to the 42mm version of the YachtMaster, not the 40mm. Hopefully in the future we're also gonna get that version in titanium. Needless to say, I'm very excited about this watch. I think not only is it functionally cool because titanium is a much lighter metal than stainless steel, so having it on the 42mm version would make that watch very comfortable. But it is also a very good looking watch because titanium has this kind of gray hue to itself. So having that with the gray looking bezel and just the design of YachtMaster, it really fits. I think this is a very, very good looking watch. Where a titanium YachtMaster was sort of predictable because we've seen some leaks, something that no one predicted was a 40mm Explorer. The Explorer range of watches just turned 70, and we weren't expecting too many changes to this line because only 2 years ago Rolex discontinued their 39mm version and went down to 36mm. Well, guess what? 2 years later, now we are back to 40mm. I guess the 36mm wasn't as popular with watch collectors as the 39mm version was. Now this 40mm is pretty much the same as the 36mm. I think it just has the upgraded movement, but that's pretty much it. I think this watch is going to be very popular. I personally know quite a few people that were waiting for this release. We all kind of expected that Rolex eventually is going to go back to the larger Explorer, but pretty much no one was predicting for them to do it so soon. Only 2 years later. I should also add that the 36mm version is still available, yes, including that ugly two-tone one. And lastly, let's talk about a brand new range of watches, the 1908 Perpetual dress watch. It's been a while since Rolex introduced a new line of watches. I think the last one they actually introduced was a Sky Dweller. That was a while ago. So now we finally have a new Rolex model. Is their step forward into a dress watch category with this ultra thin automatic dress watch. It has a brand new automatic movement specifically designed for this timepiece. It comes in a solid yellow gold case. It has a display case back and these classic vintage inspired looks. I really like the look of this watch. although I must add it's a bit on the expensive side. So I don't know actually how popular this watch will be. In Canadian dollars, it's $26,000, which is about, I think about 20,000 USD. Rolex has always struggled with capturing that dress watch market, and I think they probably will have problems in the future with this model, but who knows? Rolex surprised us all many times before. Speaking of past dress watches, Rolex has a model called Cellini, or I should say they used to have a model called Cellini, because starting in 2023, this model is now discontinued. It was never a very popular Rolex watch, and it's replaced with this new 1908 model. Another Rolex model that was discontinued is the Milgauss, introduced in 2007, so it had a pretty good run, but now it is no longer available in their catalog. On their website, it's pretty much gone. You might still be able to find some in the store, although I really doubt it. Maybe they will sell you a display model, something like that, but that's about it. So if you were a fan of that watch, try to get one on a gray market, although I wouldn't buy one right now, because usually when Rolex discontinues a model, it really jumps up in price, and then sort of over time it comes down and settles in. So maybe wait a year or so, and then you'll be able to pick up a Milgauss for a reasonable price. That's it. That's all you need to know about the new Rolex and Tudor releases for 2023. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about these releases. Are you surprised? Are you happy? Are you upset? Leave your thoughts. I always enjoy reading your comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you wanted to see how wrong I was with my predictions for this year, there's a video that's going to be on the screen right here. Check it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.